Hebo Tea Club's original Pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea helps build the red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1-pound package of tea is $34.95 plus shipping. To order?
Now you may visit the website to order, and that is www.lovemysupertea.com. That's www.lovemysuper, SUPERTEA.com. Again, the complete website is lovemysupertea.com. You may also call in Pacific Time, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 818-288-4128. Again, the complete website is www.lovemysupertea.com.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. So if life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMac.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAARADIO. You're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps. Enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today I have a special announcement. We have a giveaway contest. All right, just in time for the holiday season. So this is a giveaway contest. In order to enter, go to message me at boots, BOOTS, at SheilaMac.com, SheilaMac.com. So that's message over Hickey, HIKI, to boots at SheilaMac.com. So I want to share a little bit more about this new product. It is Hickey for anybody, and that's anybody. So I started using this not too long ago and have really switched over. I really love it. I'm now going back to my exercise and fitness club every day. I'm actually taking a few classes each day, and I am feeling incredible. And one of the nicest things is to use a product that's safe and healthy and keeps me sweat-free, so to speak. So I want to share a little bit about how this company got started. Through candid conversations about our bodies, sweat, and everyday lives, Hickey built a line of vegan, cruelty-free products that reflect the daily needs of real bodies in motion, not just their underarms. Hickey is for any body. We are all natural, gender-neutral, and formulated to not leave residue on skin or clothing. Hickey is ethically and sustainably sourced and safe for all skin types. Because our products are all natural, they are extremely versatile and they can be used anywhere on the body. Hickey is not just a product, it is a community of people that have come together and feel heard included, and safe to be exactly who they are. So where do you sweat? All right. Now to sign up for this giveaway surprise, just message in today to boots@SheilaMac.com. And to learn more, go to www.hiki.com. That's hickey.com. Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have a very special guest. We have Timmy Bauer. He is the author and illustrator of many children's books, including Lucas the Dinosaur Entrepreneur, Billy the Dragon, and Harper Hears No, and a whole bunch more. He is the founder of Dinosaur House, a company that makes kids' books for entrepreneurs. He also hosts a variety of podcasts such as The Literacy Advocate, B2B Growth, The Purpose-Driven Entrepreneur, Writing Better, and the Up-and-Coming Illustrator. Timmy's contributing writer-artist for the Children's Writers Guild magazine. While the kids' books author career was taking off, Timmy was also a Disney actor. I love it.
Man, you're reading the whole thing.
Yes, I am. And Timmy's dream is to make books that ignite a love for reading in kids while inspiring them to think about grown-up topics like entrepreneurship, finance, and personal values. Outstanding. Well, welcome to the show, Timmy.
Thank you so much for having me, Sheila. I'm excited to talk to you.
Now, this show actually started off when I was interviewed by someone else on this network, and that was about my best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last 12 months, globally, we have had every situation show up. And so I like to have, maybe if you could share to the listeners a time in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Sure. Okay. So I have two that jump out, and I'll just share both of them, and you can tell me which one you find more interesting or which one you'd rather talk about. But two things that have happened. So 2019, I was touring as a kids book author. I've been touring. I decided I wanted to be a kids book author professionally a long time ago. Went out and finally just started in 2014 and have been busting my butt to try to get to a place where I can fully support myself on money that I'm making as a kids book author. It's taken a lot of work. I finally got there in 2019 when I realized, oh, wait a second. If I'm just always traveling and am visiting elementary schools literally every day, I can make a full-time living as a kids book author. So that's what I was doing. I was just making trips all over the US, visiting elementary schools, and I'd have a whole routine that I put together to get parents to notice me and to take an interest and see if they want to buy my books. And it was going really well. I quit my jobs and I was like, yes, this is working. I was so excited. And then surprise, surprise. I mean, COVID hits, and so early 2020, I was on tour, and I was like, that's when we were all kind of like, it was over in China, and we're like, what's going to happen? Is it coming to the US? And nobody really knows for sure. And one of the first groups to react were like schools when it came to guest visitors. All of a sudden, every school is like, no more guest visitors. And so they're just, my tour just gets wiped off the table. And I have to go home with no way of making money. Well, I mean, I went back to my old job and just begged if they could take me back. But yeah, so I spent all of 2020 working at my old job, which I was a writer for a media company, and working on trying to crack the question of like, how can I make money as a kids book author again? Because that's what I love. So that's one. Okay, that's one in the professional life. And then another one that kind of is both the professional life and the personal life is in early 2019. My wife left me. I was married for 6 years. My wife went and took a job on Disney Cruise Line, and a couple months later told me that she didn't want to be married to me anymore. And that was a huge shock for me, because man, it's going to be hard to talk about, but if you want to talk about it, I'm a pretty transparent person.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a huge hit. I had no idea that she was so miserable. And I mean, I knew that we had problems, but I had no idea that she was as miserable as she was. And I just, to me, the thought of divorce was next to the thought of death. It was like, yeah, this is one way that my life could end, and then this is the other way that my life could end.
Yes. And there's so many people that have gone through a divorce or had a relationship situation that hit them really hard. And when you go through something like that, it affects every single other area of your life. It's not just your relationship. It affects, because you have common friends, it affects your finances. It affects every single thing. I have a whole chapter on that in my book, and then special gifts for people that are going through that, and free courses and things, because it is such a tough journey. And sometimes, for whatever reason, one person or the other isn't aligned. It's really not a representation of you or that other person. It just is what it is. And when you get to the point where you're able to know that something better will show up that's more aligned for you, that's okay. But it takes a while. How long did it take you to rebuild after going through that process?
Yeah. So it was an interesting time, because from 2014 to 2018, I'm just busting my butt trying to figure out how to make being a kids book author a full-time thing. I'm working for Disney as a performer all through this time. And I just keep hitting these like little wins where it's like, oh, I went and I toured this area, and oh, if I line up my tour dates with their book fairs, I make more money that way, and just like just discovering hacks, that worked. But then in 2019, she had left. And at first it was just, she was leaving to go take a job that would have had her traveling, and we would have seen each other, weekly, but just a couple of days a week. But all that time away, I fill the time with traveling. And all of a sudden I get discovered by a little network of schools in Miami. And they just start telling all their principals about all the principals in that network about me. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and right around that same time is when she told me that she didn't want to be married to me anymore. So I am simultaneously experiencing this soaring off of my entrepreneurial self into success, while personally I feel like I am shattered. And it was just a weird time, because I'm literally like going into elementary schools to perform and read for the kids and, do all the stuff that I do at the schools. And then as soon as I come away from that, I'm basically a crying, shattered mess.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
It was a
sounds
dark time.
to me like that was your therapy. That was a lot of us are guilty. I know I was too, of work therapy, or where you can put all your efforts and energy into something where you don't have to think about what else is going on.
Yeah.
And you don't have to grieve over whatever. You can just focus on the good and helping others. And that's beautiful. And then you have your time to heal when you're not doing that. And it's like, it gives you little breaks from the healing process.
Yeah. I would say for me, it was more a distraction than it was therapy. But one thing that was nice is that all the touring was constantly putting me in different locations.
Yeah.
And there was one tour that I did where I toured Arkansas, and I just made a point that after every school visit, I would go off into nature and just pray. And oh my gosh, I spent so many days climbing mountains and crying and talking to God.
Nice. Yes. And that, we all need that in our life, and that's okay. I think that for those listening in, if you have gone through a tough situation or are currently going through a tough situation, let that be okay. That time and space, sometimes going in nature or finding whatever that is for you, whether it's yoga, nature, singing, whatever, and have that time to process, to heal, and also to think about your next steps. Because a lot of times when we're in a place of hurt or we want to be distracted, we may overspend or we may make decisions that are based on our emotions versus based on the decisions that we really need to make that make sense. So
I would say I made a lot of decisions based on emotions.
Yes.
In 2019. I was making a lot of money and being broke the whole time.
Yes, that happens. And it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. This happens to anybody going through a situation like that. It's the same story.
Yeah.
It's a universal thing.
and I would say I would put a caveat around making a lot of money. I guess what I mean by that is it was becoming the most well-paid job that I've ever had. But so this may surprise some folks. Disney does not pay very well its performers. So please don't think that I was making a lot of money. But it was becoming the most well-paid job that I'd ever had. And I was able to like eat more than ramen and eggs, which is what I'd mostly been surviving on.
Yes.
But also have money for plenty of bad decisions.
Right.
I drank a lot of alcohol in 2019. There's this Bible verse. I'm a Christian, by the way, so you're probably going to hear this in the conversation quite a bit. But I was going through just a crazy up and down emotions and spirituality and everything. There's this Bible verse, and I would offend my Christian friends whenever I would share it, but it says, give wine to the one who is sorrowing and strong drink to the one who feels ready to die. And I would say, hey, I'm just applying the Bible to my life right now.
Good use of it. Now that can be applied to anything. And when you think about any religious studies, we can apply it to our own, what serves us. But I know that you knew inside and your friends knew, and you have a knowing that it's like, okay, but yeah, really. And it's really not the case. But
yeah, I knew it needed. I knew that I knew that plenty of the decisions that I was making weren't healthy, but I was in such a place emotionally. I don't know too much about your personal life, Sheila, and I can't wait to dig into it with you on the Purpose-Driven Entrepreneur. But I would assume that you've gone through some serious pain in your life if this is the show that you've decided to make. And you can probably remember there's no, I don't want to assume what it was like for you, but what it was like for me was there was no room for making wise decisions. Yeah. There was room for surviving and just trying to address the pain. And then sometimes just trying to feel the pain, because there was a good while where I just felt like I was going numb. Book right now called it's called A Picture Book About Rejection. And it's inspired by my experience. And it's literally meant to try to get across to a kid the things that I needed to tell myself when I was going through this. And also the exercise of looking at yourself in the mirror. And I say in the book, I'm like, I know this sounds super weird. It was really weird when I did it.
That is so beautiful. And now, do you have children?
No. And I actually don't know that I ever plan on having kids. But for whatever reason, ever since I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to be a kids book author. Wow.
Yes, because I can just totally feel how good you are with kids, and looking at some of the books that you wrote. I have 6 children. They're all grown. I adopted 3 are mine. They're all mine, right? And those books are exactly what's needed and what I would want my children to read.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to give a special thanks to Folio, our sponsor. And one of the things about Folio that I love is my email has been really full. So if you collaborate on work through your email, you have to try Folio. Folio by Ametry uses AI to transform the chaos of your email into a powerful deal organizer, project manager, and workflow compressor. The average Folio user saves over 20 hours a month by skipping tedious and repetitive email tasks that get in the way of doing the work that actually needs to be done. See why over 100,000 business professionals rely on Folio to keep their projects, deals, and clients on track. Go to tryfolio.pro, that's try, T-R-Y, folio, Folio.pro, to learn more and start saving time on email today. No download, no setup, or credit cards required. That's tryfolio.pro.
Yes. Now, do you have any books in the works or ways that you're helping children as far as dealing with crazy COVID?
I thought about it. I actually submitted one to an agent, and she said that the thing about COVID is it's evolving so fast that a publisher is not super likely to pick up a book that addresses it in the way that it is right now. So I guess it would have to, yeah, that's the thing about COVID. But I mean, there's nothing really stopping me from doing it except that I have a bunch of other books in the works. But I did tentatively write one out that was just like, why do we have to stay home all the time?
Yeah.
I thought that'd be a good title for a book because it's probably how kids are feeling. Depending on where you are. But I wrote it when it was pretty serious quarantine. I'm not sure where you're located, Sheila. I'm in Florida, where we basically treat the disease like it doesn't exist.
Right. Yes. And I know I have a couple of homes. So one's in California, which is very strict, and the other is in Las Vegas, which is less strict. But the schools are mostly still closed unless some private schools are allowed to be open. It's kind of weird. So there are a lot of children that don't get a lot of outside. You don't get to go out and play. You don't get to do much. And it's real. I think it's really strict. When I go home to California, it's ridiculous. It is so strict. And it's hard on the kids. It's hard on everyone. The children feel this. They feel it. And I feel that as parents, adults, people in children's lives, that the energy we bring, how we show up, just think about if you're on a plane and the stewardess looks scared, you're going to be scared.
Yeah.
Even if you're an adult. This is just the truth, right? So I think the same thing. We need to really show up in strength, in agreement. If you're, partners, married, co-parenting, however you're doing that, maybe you have relatives that agree differently, have an agreement, a discussion about what gets talked about around the kids or how things are presented, so you're on a common ground, so the children stay grounded and they feel safe. They can have peace. And I think learning is so much easier for kids when they feel safe. And there's some kind of, even if we don't love routines, there's some kind of a structure of knowing there's a boundary and things are going to be okay. And yes, I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's affected so many families differently. So you've got families that are now stuck together that are realizing how wonderful it is to spend so much time together. And then you got families that are now stuck together that are uncovering all the problems that they're having with each other. And fortunately for me, I haven't really had too much of that. The people that I've been stuck with for most of this have been people that I've loved hanging out with. But it's got to be really hard if you are stuck with people that you wish you didn't have to be so stuck with.
Exactly. One of the things I like to share on my show is about 211. Have you heard of the 211?
No.
Okay, so this is really important, and this isn't a sponsored thing, but this is something I always share, and that's 211 is available in every state in the United States and every province in Canada. And if you dial it or Google it, you will find a list of help and resources.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to Affordable World. Now, Affordable World is something we all need, and that's to make travel affordable again. So at Affordable World, they believe the best tours combine comprehensive itineraries with extensive inclusive sightseeing, top hotels, and excellent value. So they're proud to be one of the few travel companies to offer exactly that blend. Our You Deserve This promotion aims to reach travel enthusiasts who have waited patiently for travel restrictions to be lifted. Promotional code is You Deserve This, and it is valid for $250 off per person on all Affordable World land and air tour packages departing on or after April 1st, 2022. All right, enjoy. And now back to our show where we are learning about entrepreneurship and how to teach this special gift of entrepreneurial mindset to our children. Take a listen.
Whether that's getting food on the table, helping to get a job, help for veterans, seniors, help with childcare, lots of mental health help. And you talk about living. What brought that to mind was when you talk about living in a home that maybe isn't safe, or where a situation isn't right, or somebody is dealing with an addiction, or there's an abusive situation going on. That's where you can get free help in any state or province in Canada or state in the United States. And I just feel really guided to share that, because that's something just to post that in your work groups. If you run Zooms, share it at work. If you actually go to a physical job again, or with other parents, this is important. A lot of times people are afraid to ask for help when they need it. They won't admit it maybe to their friends. They want to save face, but maybe they really need the help this year. And that's okay. So if you do need help, ask for help when you need it, or share that with someone that comes to you. Maybe you can't help them, but just giving them that information could make all the difference this year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people need community, and it's really hard to have community when there's a global pandemic,
Right.
but we need it to handle difficult problems. I mean, for me personally, when I was going through the divorce, I needed to be able to break down and cry in front of people. If I didn't have that, I don't know that I would be okay now.
There's all these scientific studies on prayer and meditation and how these things work for people and help. So we need that more than ever in this time where we have so much that's uncertain.
Yeah. For me personally, I just found, I was touring in Arkansas, and a friend of mine, she just started taking me to different churches on Sundays, because I spent 5 weeks there. And so this was at a point where my heart was pretty numb. I just couldn't really feel I was starting to get to a place where I couldn't feel anything. So I had been drinking a lot. The reason I started drinking so much was to help me just open up, because you drink enough alcohol and it's just going to come out of you, all your feelings. And so that's what I was doing at first. And then I was at a point where I was drinking so much and still going numb. And then I started doing other stuff. I would go to the gym, and I would go, I'm going to work out until I can't move anymore. Just literally trying to hurt myself, so that I would be in pain, so that I would feel the sensation of feeling things. This sounds so, I don't know. I think because I'm a 3, I hear myself talking right now, and I'm like, you sound like a whiny little, and we're on the air, so I can't finish that sentence.
But you're so spot on, because everybody has, I would say 99.9% of the people I've worked with, and even myself going through my own divorce at one point years ago. Yeah. I might have done different things. I didn't really drink, but
I'm not advocating for alcohol, except I kind of, in a joking way, am pointing to the fact that it was part of the story. It was
right.
part of the story. But what was so crazy, where I was going with this is, so I'm in church. I would pray. There'd be, people worshiping around me, and then I would just break down and start crying. And I would start crying, and then I would start sobbing, and I would just be like bent over and sobbing. And I'm going to get emotional thinking about it now. And the reason that it was so emotional for me is because when someone divorces you, they're not just saying like, hey, you know what? I think we should go separate ways. Like, there might be some divorces that go that way, but not this one. It was, I don't want you anymore, kind of thing. And just the feeling of not being wanted and not being enough and not feeling like you're worthy of anything. Not feeling like someone, will someone ever want me again? This sounds so petty to say, but in that moment, I did. I don't just want to bash her. That my goal is not to get on here and bash her. But in a very low place, feeling unworthy and not. I remember thinking like I just wasn't made right. I just wasn't made the right way because I wasn't made to be wanted. Like whatever makes a person wanted, I wasn't put together that way. And just in church, worship going on all around me. I'm crying, and I'm just hearing the Lord saying to me, I like the way that I made you. And I would just break down sobbing.
Yeah.
And what's cool is when you're in a church and you break down sobbing, everybody just puts their hands on you.
Right.
So they don't think that you're a weirdo.
Right. And, in society, we kind of tend to like have these crazy rules that it's not okay to have our emotions. Or, after losing my son, my daughter was like, gosh, my friends were upset with me. And because I was still grieving a month later. And it's like, hello, well, that's just normal. And they haven't had that experience. Her younger friends didn't lose a loved one so close. So they don't have something to really.
People were getting on your case for grieving a month later.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what?
A literal month?
Literally. And it changed. It was like, oh, wow, wait a minute. And it made her reassess her friendship circles a little bit and realize some friends are, friends you work with that maybe go have fun with, but they're not really aligned on the value. Yeah. And it was probably such a good thing to happen at a young age versus later, but that will happen. And so when you find your peer group and your friends and you're in a church or wherever you're at and you find people that support you, and that means that they give you tough love sometimes when they need to just, hold you and put their hands on you, that's one thing, but they'll also say, okay, now I'm going to help you out. Or when they see you're going, okay, wrong road, you're drinking, that's not cute, stop that. They'll tell you that too, and they'll correct you because they care about you. Those are the peer groups and the friends that are just the best for rebuilding. And we all have to rebuild sometimes in our life. Sometimes we have to rebuild a few times. And don't tell me that. But it's true. And we learn each time. And there's a point and a place where you realize, oh my gosh, that person may not be aligned, but that's okay. It was for the time. And there's somebody that's so much more aligned for your future. Yeah. That's just exactly, there's something about core values, life purpose, and vision. And a certain time in life, you fall in love, you get married, and maybe those things don't align. And if they don't, I never say anything about my children's father. Things were not aligned. and he broke every rule in the book, but and it was like, okay, that's okay. And I have no hate, anger, animosity, nothing. But I also know that, my gosh, it's so much better to love somebody enough to say, hey, you know what? I want you to be aligned with whatever works for you. And for myself, for my children, for my family, I need to be aligned with what works for me. And then even on the core values, and if you go to your religion, you want somebody that's really aligned in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the thought of wanting, it's like logically I can go, yes, I want good for her. But emotionally I'm not there.
Yeah,
It's just,
and it hasn't
I
been.
wish that were not true. And God help me, please, Lord, seriously. Because yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, and it takes
I mean,
time. It takes time. And here's the interesting thing. This is what I found. There was a point for me where it was like, okay, the only person that needs to heal is me. I'm only responsible for my piece in anything.
yep.
And that
Yep.
other person, you send them love, you wish them well. Maybe there was something not aligned. For my situation, there was some mental health things going on that weren't quite right.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if that person was really whole and healthy, they would want the best for the mother of their children. They would want the best. And they
Yeah.
would say, you need to not be around this, isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Went
Yeah.
I went with that. You know who you are, you know your strengths, you know what you need to work on. And when you heal and you're yourself and you're doing self-love and you're really whole, this is crazy. You start attracting people that are aligned. You start being attracted to only people, because when you first get divorced, you start like finding the same person in a different package. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, that's just like that other person I just left, or, you know, whatever. And it's the same mess because you're still resolving that. Once you really
Yeah.
resolve it, it's like, oh, there you are. And this is the wild part. You could have that perfect, that one, that aligned one, whatever, that real person that's going to be a solid relationship forever, for the rest of your life, whatever, could be standing right in front of you. But if you haven't done that little bit of work that's still left, you will not see her.
Yeah.
You will miss it.
Yeah. The thought that I would do the self-work and the healing and rise to be the person that God wants me to be. And in living into that, I'm in a healthy place. I'm attracting healthy people.
Yes.
I think that it wouldn't be too hard for me to look over and be like, I want this for you too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the closer you get,
it's not going to be with me.
Yes,
but
exactly. And the more you go down that healthy road, the healthier that thought is. It's like, okay, it can be neutral. It doesn't have to be like, I want you to win the lottery and I want all blessings to fall upon you and good luck. but it's just like a neutral, like, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
It's finished. Send it blessings, send it love, whatever, and you move on. And when you're ready, then that's when everybody shows up. And you start talking to people that are like, oh, that's not the same person. This is right. And it's easy. It's not difficult. It's not forced. It's not hard. You're not pretending to be something to please them. None of that.
Did you have a hard time forgiving your ex?
It took a couple of years because he didn't want to get divorced. So for many years, he refused to sign the papers. And that was difficult because I was stuck in that. If I was Catholic, you would call it purgatory. It was that in between hell where you're not in one and you're not in the other. And I, couldn't really date anyone because I wasn't officially divorced and it didn't feel right. And, so it was that was when I was very angry. So I was like, we need to just move on. And then once we got to that point, it was like peace.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The person that I'm with now, we met and I was still officially married. We were like in the process of going through the documents with the lawyer. And I just was like, I had a conversation with her. I was like, the right thing to do is probably for you and I to not be together and let me resolve this first. I don't want to do that. I don't because honestly, I'm just gonna go. Yeah, I want to get this paperwork done so I can get back to you. I was like, what do you want? And she was like, well, I definitely don't want to break up with you so that you can button up your paperwork.
Right.
But I'm in a much happier relationship now. I feel like this conversation's been all over the place, Sheila. I want to go conversationally wherever you want to go. But yeah, I'm in a much happier and healthier place now. It was a solid year of, I think, God just kind of, on one hand, letting me go crazy, and then on the other hand, just constantly reminding me about the person that He made me to be and wants me to be.
And I wonder how this universal pause, pandemic, whatever, Corona, that is nice when it's just a beer. And I don't even drink beer, but I would love it to be a beer again. I might even like partake in a beer if that's all it was again. But with that, do you think it's changed our relationships or the goals of people in relationships because of the need to, you know, you can't go dating. You can't, it's a little more difficult to do things nowadays.
Yeah.
On that.
Well, that's an interesting question because, I mean, I was dating during COVID. Well, hold on. Let me think about this. I'm trying to like get the timeline straight. No, I was dating just before COVID. Yeah. So I might not have much to say. I mean, we were dating and, quarantined away from each other, and that was a little weird. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. So I do have a few pieces of advice that I could give, though, as somebody that kind of sucks at relationships in general. I've taken the Strengths Finders test, and there's some things that I score high in. I've got a pretty strategic mind. I'm a pretty winsome communicator. I feel like I've been talking all over myself on this podcast, so I don't know how much that's coming through. But I always thought that I was good at relationships because of the whole like winsome communicator thing. Like I can walk into a setting, not know anybody, and come out with friends. But that's not the same thing as relationship building. And I've never known that until I took the Strengths Finder test and really started reading about it. Relationship building is way more intentional than that. I'm great at like throw me in a situation and I'll come out having met people that would love to hang out with me, but that's not the same thing as like building a relationship with those people. But something that has helped for me personally is having a podcast. This is going to sound so practical and weird, but I would say if you're lonely, I didn't think the show would go here, but honestly, if you're lonely, start a podcast about the stuff that you'd like to be talking about and just start having a bunch of conversations with people about it.
Yes.
It's pretty easy to start a podcast. You just go on Anchor. I'm not sponsored, but just like go to anchor.fm.
So true. It is so true. I mean, I started with a podcast and went to the radio show as well. It also goes on all the podcast channels. And I love talking with people from all over the world, having incredible conversations and sharing tips on how other people out there can get back on track. Before I go on each show, I really do a prayer and meditation. And I really believe that those listening in need to hear the day's message from whoever showed up on my show as a guest. And so somebody listening in is probably going down the same road you just talked about. Maybe they're writing children's books. Maybe they're a parent. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe it's real. And they needed to hear it from you in your voice. And I believe that's, as long as I'm putting this out there in the universe and it's helping somebody, it feels good.
Yeah. I mean, my advice would be, if you are listening to this and you're going through a divorce, I think the one thing that I did that probably changed everything was every day I would just go somewhere. For me, it was the gym. So I'd go to the gym. I'd get on the treadmill. I looked like a crazy person. I'd go to the gym. I'd get on the treadmill. I'd put my hands in the air and I would just say, God, my life is yours. What in the world do you want me to do? And what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with all this crap? And I need you to be here and to talk to me and to give me some idea of what the heck I'm supposed to do, and how I'm supposed to feel. And I would just talk to him like that. And I guarantee you there were people at the gym that thought that I was insane. But I personally, that made all the difference.
Yes, that's beautiful. That is
but
great.
about the podcasting advice, you can tell because you just read, like, I have 5 podcasts. Those are literally just 5 excuses for me to talk about things that I care about.
You need a guide to show you how we get through a situation like this, to give you resources and to help you get out of the emotional pea soup fog of dealing with a crisis and the resulting fallout. I've been there, and I'm here to help you.
To grab a new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you, to be honest. I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mack Show on YouTube. Necessitated. You need a guide to show you how we get through a situation like this, to give you resources and to help you get out of the emotional pea soup fog of dealing with a crisis and the resulting fallout. I've been there, and I'm here to help you. Out of the fog. If you weren't emotionally bound up in your situation, you would have more clarity. You would be able to see your best options for dealing with whatever comes up. If the version of yourself who has already walked through this rock bottom and come out the other end could go back in time and give you, the you right now, some advice, what would she say? Would she tell you to slow down, to stop rushing, that you don't have to have all the answers today? Would the future you recommend not making any major decisions without reviewing them first, particularly while you're still in the fog? Would she tell you that normal is going to look different for a while, but that you will feel normal again? In case we haven't invented time travel by the time you read this book, I'm here to tell you all of the above. I developed the Boots formula to help you learn to make choices, have a life shift, and make great things happen based on your individual values and best life vision. A change is going to happen, and it's worth it. There's a stage where it feels like everyone in your life is picking at you. Life itself may seem like it's trying its best to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. All you hear is, "That's a stupid idea," and "That's never going to work," and "Who do you think you are?" One of the hardest things for people to do is to realign and possibly walk away from anything and anyone that conflicts with their value systems. But you are going to discover that power within yourself. Through the activities and examples in this book, you will discover your true north and will be able to easily do what is needed to move forward with your life. Anything that hurts you, that doesn't resonate for you, that fights against what you want and believe in, you are going to give it the boot. Once you have turned your rock bottom moment into a positive, beautiful life shift, you can live your life on your terms. Your life will probably look different, but you get to design it this time. You are taking your life back, and you are in charge, not anybody else. Sooner than you can imagine, you'll be in the career of your dreams or the relationship you always wanted. Because you are going to learn to develop healthy boundaries. Because you are going to do things differently along the way from here to there. You will begin to attract the people, the job, the place to live, all of the opportunities that align with who you are, your essence, your truth, not anybody else's or even society's expectations of the way you're supposed to be. Once you have accepted that you are in charge of living your life and you begin to embody living your truth, people are going to see you. They're going to be inspired by you. Then you're going to hear, "Hey, can you show me how you did that? I want to do it too." When you assess your peer group and up-level according to your life purpose and vision, and once you have created a life shift for yourself, whatever that looks like, your life is not just full, it's fulfilled. Not only do you get more and better sleep, you wake up feeling rested and happy. You know that you're doing what you need to do. Yes, sometimes your heart will call you to leave certain friends or family members in order to find a more aligned peer group. From what I've seen, however, the ones who leave always return to lead their family and friends to success. Because your friends are more in alignment with your beliefs and value system, they support you while also pushing you toward your personal best. Life still involves work, but as a whole, it feels far more effortless. But you don't have to wait for the right person, right job, or right investment opportunity to show up. You can start living now so that every moment as you go forward through the process of recovering from rock bottom and redesigning your life is one more step to being the best version of you, the one who came.
All right, if you are looking to reinvent life on your terms, if you are grieving, experiencing financial turmoil, career shifts, relationship problems, parenting, elder care, victims of abuse, breaking free from an addiction, or seeking an overall business and lifestyle redesign, then you may need a reboot. It is not fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation. I have been loving my super tea, and I want you to hear a little bit more about it.
Tehibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea helps build the red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1-pound package of tea is $34.95 plus shipping. To order?
Now you may visit the website to order, and that is www.lovemysupertea.com. That's www.lovemysuper, SUPERTEA.com. Again, the complete website is lovemysupertea.com. You may also call in Pacific time, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 818-288-4128. Again, the complete website is www.lovemysupertea.com.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMac.com today.